Is a science. Others claim it's an art. It's fun to watch and not easy to do. It's one of the toughest tasks in all of sports. Last night, the Marlins did enough of it to beat the Braves. Tonight, we talk hitting and Marlins and Braves. Sun Life Stadium, where right now there isn't much sun and there isn't much life. But that's going to change in about 20 minutes. The Tarpers coming off, baseball on the horizon. The Marlins and the Braves will play Game 2 of a 3-game series. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. We've got baseball scheduled about a 7:30 start time. But don't go anywhere. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Hitting is topic A tonight, Tommy. We're going to run down the top 10 sluggers of all time. Is it the toughest thing to do in sports?
Well, let me just say this. In the little open, you saw hitting is an art. It is a science. But trust me, it's one of the hardest things to do, and that's coming from a guy with a .248 career batting average. It is not easy, and I think just watching players year to year, it makes you really appreciate the guys who are consistent and the guys who hit 300 every year. I think we're seeing the struggles of Chris Coghlan, Rookie of the Year last year, hit over 320. He's struggling with hitting right now. It is hard to do.
Tonight we will also visit live with Jim Presley in the Marlins dugout during the ball game. For the Marlins last night, a win over the Atlanta Braves. Scored early, but importantly, scored late. Add-on runs is always a topic in Freddie Gonzalez's post-game interviews.
It was something we didn't see a lot of early in the season, and at times it got a little frustrating. But the Marlins last night in the 8th inning were able to add on 3 runs, 2 produced by that Cody Ross double to the opposite field. Cody has just been hitting tremendously with runners in scoring position. And how about Ronnie Paulino? He got the 3rd run in that inning with a base hit up the middle. So anytime you can add on, it does a few things. It changes Freddie's thought as to how he might use the bullpen late in the game, and it certainly helped with the Braves getting a couple of runs off Leo Nunez.
And so it's Game 2, and the Marlins capture Game 1 of the 3-game series. Pitching matchup tonight's a real contrast. You've got a young flamethrower going for the Braves, and Nate Robertson, the lefty, for the Fish.
You know, the Marlins saw Tommy Hanson a couple of times last year. He won one game, had a no decision in the other. He's coming off a horrible start. Gave up 8 runs his last time out. Nate Robertson, not a whole lot of history against the Atlanta Braves. 1 inning in his career against Atlanta. There are a couple of hitters that have seen him in their American League time.
So if you have some thoughts on your top sluggers, hang around all night long. We will unveil the top 10 sluggers, at least in our crack staff's mind. The importance of hitting, Craig Minervini will lean on Jeff Conine for that when we return. Marlins and Braves coming up.
as hard as Tommy thinks it is, 'cause I had a little better average, but it's really hard.
It's considered by many the hardest thing to do in sports, the actual, success of hitting the baseball, not just hitting it. But, it's always forgotten, too. It's 1 against 9. There's 9 defenders against 1 guy at the plate. Put it into perspective, hitting the baseball, the actual process.
Well, I mean, you've got so many variables. On a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, you've got 0.4 of a second to make a decision to square up a round ball with a round bat and hit it where 7 guys aren't standing or 8 guys aren't standing. So, when you talk about a guy that hits 300 during the course of a year, you might have a dozen in the entire league that hit over 300 for a whole year. So 3 out of 10 times, we're failing 7 out of 10. I think that's a pretty tough thing to do.
Well, it is. Now, we're going to be talking about during the show, sluggers, the greatest 10 sluggers in baseball history. Niner and I were talking before the game. We have 2 separate lists. So I'm going to give you mine in Marlins history, top 5 sluggers. We'll get Niners list in a moment. This is you can define the word slugger any way you want. I'm looking at the doubles, triples, homers, mostly I would say doubles and homers. I have Cabrera above Sheffield. Shep has had the best single season with his 42 homers, but Cabrera, with his monster power to right center, to left center, maybe not the pure home run guy Shep is, but in fact the slugging percentage is .542. It's 1 back of Shep. And I made that up. I didn't look at the numbers until I came up with my list, Snyder. But Cabrera, the way the ball came off his bat, and of course he had a few more years here, over 100 RBIs. Ugla is just a monster slugger. I think when you have slugger in his picture, the two go perfectly hand in hand. Hanley, I got to have him on my list because he's still, despite all his speed and his ability to work the game differently, a lot of extra base hits. Mike Lowell, nobody's had more extra base hits in Marlins history than Mike Lowell. So I'm going to defend my 5 Niner. I asked you around the batting cage, your 5. You were standing with Cliff Floyd and kind of kicking it around.
Very
by
similar.
the way, Cliff and Niner, I mean, Niners right there in almost every offensive category. You're right there on my top 5.
But I can't vote for myself.
I know,
sorry. And apparently you can't either. So thanks for the vote of confidence. Appreciate it, partner.
He was number 6, but they only wanted top 5.
Yeah.
All right, so give me your top 5.
Here's my top 5. Gary Sheffield, for my money, got to play with Sheff for 5 years. He was the most feared hitter in the National League. No quicker bat I've ever seen than Gary Sheffield. Cabby, I didn't play with him very long, 2.5 years, maybe 2 1/3 years, but like you said, power to all fields, has evolved, and probably one of the best hitters, not only sluggers, but hitters in the game of baseball right now. Mikey Lowell, you can't deny the power and the home runs that he hit here. Ugla, what he's doing is pretty unprecedented as a second baseman. Leading the league right now. He's going to, I think, maybe go down the history books as one of the best home run hitting second basemen in history when it's all said and done. And number 5, I mean, when you're talking about
5 here?
Sluggers, for me, is fear factor. You're not talking about a guy that's hit for average and just a good hitter. You're talking about a guy that has some fear into the opposition. And I think Preston Wilson, while he was here, was a very fearful hitter when he came up to the plate.
And he kept evolving, too, when he came up. I'm going to go way back in my childhood because when I think of a slugger, the one guy that I think of, and this is a guy who had no average at all. He was a horrendous hitter.
Dave Kingman.
when Dave Kingman came up, you had to watch his at bat. He might strike out 3 times, and he might hit one 500 feet. And he did have that 1 year with the Cubs. I think he had 48 homers, hit about 287 or something like that, close to 290. But he was a 230 hitter.
Well, I mean, a couple that were going out when I was first coming in. Steve Balboni with the Royals, another guy. Rob Deere with the Tigers, another guy that hit the ball a country mile, but also strike out about every other time too.
Yeah.
So,
but sluggers, they may not be a more fun guy to watch than a slugger.
Chicks dig
in
the
baseball.
long ball.
They do. Whether you hit 240 or you also have like Cabrera, the combination of average and long ball. All right, more ahead here. A little bit of a late start. They tell us about 7:30 or so. We'll have more on this ball game. Upcoming game 2 in just a bit. We'll be back in a moment.
by Checkers, Little Place, Big Taste. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 800-947-AUTO. And by Toyota, moving forward. That's what rain looks like in Fox Vision Exmo. As you can see above Sun Life Stadium, there is sun and there is life here as the Marlins take the field, ready to take on the Atlanta Braves. Here come the Braves. 23-22. Martin Prado is at second base. He leads it off. He's having a terrific season right now for Atlanta. Jason Hayward, the fine rookie who had 2 hits last night. A slumping Chipper Jones. Troy Gloss isn't tearing it up right now either. Brian McCann, a big hit last night. Yunel Escobar is in a deep freeze. Melky Cabrera starting left. Nate McLeod in center. Tommy Hanson, his sophomore season, hits 9th.
Well, for the most part, Nate Robertson hiding over there with the Detroit Tigers in the American League has not seen the Atlanta Braves. Just 1 inning in his career against Atlanta. A couple of guys have seen him a little bit. Troy Gloss has 17 at-bats against Nate. And Melky Cabrera, 2 for 11 against Nate. So if he stays with his game plan, he needs to get ahead. He needs to keep those pitches down. His breaking ball, change speeds a little bit, but all in all, for a number 5 starter, you get 4 wins to this point of the year out of your number 5 starter. Things are looking pretty good. Right now, the Marlins starting pitchers are tied for second, tied with Philadelphia with 20 wins from their starters. The only team with more is San Diego. They have 21. There's a look at the defense behind Nate with Coughlin, Maven, and Cody Ross in that outfield. Cantu, Sanchez at the corners. Hanley and Uggs up the middle. And Ronnie Paulino keeps getting big hit after big hit behind the plate.
And that defense so important anytime you get a Nate Robertson start. Here is Prado, still leading the National League in hits. He added to that last night with 3 more, including a double. He has 14 doubles on the season, does Martin Prado. Really making a name for himself at second base for the Braves. Robertson ready. Here we go. About 20 minutes late, but hey, baseball's baseball. And the Marlins and the Braves play game 2 of a 3-game series. Robertson's last start, he wobbled early on the road in St. Louis, but ended up finishing well. 6 innings, 4 runs. Walked 4, didn't strike out anybody. He had won his previous 2 starts. He beat the Mets, and he went on the road against the Cubs.
Yeah, the 4 walks, that's too many for Nate the way he pitches. He's got to make the Atlanta Braves earn their way on, make them hit the ball. We talked about the defense. The Marlins defensively have gone 7 consecutive games now without an error.
Prado, a liner. Everything he hits is hard right now, but Gabby is up to get it. There's 1 out.
Let him hit it. Let that defense take over.
Speaking of hitting it hard, how hard did Jason Hayward hit the ball last night? And he's been doing it ever since he hit the big leagues to open up this season.
Well, I think the thing that was impressive, 1 base hit to left field, hit sharply. The other up the middle, hit sharply. And right now, teams are just trying to figure out how to defend Jason Hayward.
Robertson got in on him. Nate comes off the mound and flat out misses the ball. And so Hayward has himself first base. Whether it's an error on Robertson or a hit, we'll have to look.
I'd have to think error, because if he catches that ball, he runs right into Hayward. Right here, if he catches it, he cuts him off at the pass.
You're right.
And he doesn't catch it. Might have taken his eye off of it a little bit. And Hayward reaches on the error.
Well, he flat out whiffed on it.
And see, now everyone's going to blame me because I just said 7 consecutive games without an error.
Yeah, but you could qualify that with, that's for the Marlin fielders. The Marlin pitchers have been just awful defensively in this one. Here's Chipper, and he goes after the first pitch and fouls it back.
Yeah, Marlins pitchers alone have made 7 or 8 this year.
Chipper Jones went around, and it's 0-2. The numbers for Chipper are not pretty. add to that, his slugging percentage is .347. His on-base percentage actually is .382. He still gets respect, and he still gets pitched carefully to.
Yeah, amazing thing. Yeah, he's second in the National League in walks, and that's what has helped that on-base percentage.
How long, I mean, if Chipper's struggles go into June and into July, at what point do the Braves think about tinkering with the lineup? I know for Bobby Cox, it's been almost 16, 17 years of just putting Chipper in the 3 spot.
Number 3 hole. Hard decision for any club when they deal with a veteran who starts to lose his skills a little bit.
Of course, Chipper could bust out of it and all of a sudden go on a tear.
Yeah, he could. He very easily could.
It's a guy that for Bobby Cox won a batting title in 2008. Hayward is running. Chipper is swinging. Cantu picks it, and he's going to go to first.
Well, with Hayward on the move, that kept the Braves out of the double play. And that's exactly why Bobby Cox had Jason Hayward running. Yeah, how about the combo? Not many players have played their entire career for the same manager. And Chipper Jones can say that.
Yeah, of course, Bobby Cox, his 25th season as a Braves skipper. And Chipper in his 17th season as a Brave. Here's Gloss. And he takes down low. Gloss has played for a bunch of managers in his career. In Toronto, in Arizona, 6 years in Anaheim with the Angels, in St. Louis.
I mentioned Gloss with 17 at bats in his career against Nate Robertson, 5 for 17, 2 of those home runs.
It's interesting that for Anaheim and that World Championship team in 2002, Gloss was one of the guys they let get away. You know, they kept Garrett Anderson around. They kept Darren Erstad around. Edmonds had left just before that World Championship team.
Well, if you remember, he'd had back problems, and I think they were a little uncertain as to how he'd be able to keep his health, maintain his health. But look at that postseason, a career .338 hitter with 9 postseason home runs.
Well, that World Series in 2002, he was the MVP. Ooh, Nate tried to get in the back door. Fox tracks. Pitch number 5.
Just off the plate.
Brought to you by Toyota.
That's a good pitch. Try to run that breaking ball down and in. And Gloss, you know, that's an indication there of good hitting just because he fouled it off. He didn't miss it.
3-2 coming. Hayward's at second. Got him.
Got him that time.
Busted it in. Down goes Gloss. Down go the Braves in the first. Tommy Hansen throws real hard. And he'll face the Fish next. Sombrero night, one of Harry Carey's favorite nights at the ballpark. Marlins line up this way: Chris Coghlan in left, Gabby Sanchez, Hanley Ramirez, Jorge Cantu, Ugla Ross Paulino looking Maben his last 5 games against the Braves, and Nate Robertson hits 9th.
Well, this youngster made his major league debut last June 7th. Went 11-4 with a 2.89 ERA. Was in contention for that Rookie of the Year. If you talk to Braves fans, they said Tommy Hanson. Marlins fans said Chris Coghlan. Tommy Hanson has good stuff, and he's won 3 games so far this year.
Coghlan sees a letter-high fastball for a strike. Coghlan, Sanchez, and Hanley. As Coghlan leads it off for the Fish. Speaking of leadoff hitters, Garrett Whittles of Florida International, FIU, is their leadoff guy. He had a 48-game hitting streak going into the first round of the Sun Belt Tournament. 9th inning, leadoff double. Extends it to 49 games.
That's going to be fun to watch.
They lost the game, though. It was on a 3-2 count. They lost the game 7-1 to South Alabama. He's within 9 games of tying the record set by Robin Ventura 23 years ago. That one rides outside on Coghlan, and it's 2-1. Tommy Hanson can strike you out, but he can also get lit up, and I think he's experiencing what Coghlan has experienced this year. Kind of the ups and downs. It's not always going to be roses as those two had last year. Chopper out towards short. Escobar.
Let's see how the Braves set up defensively. Pretty good defensive club. Melky Cabrera gets the start tonight. McLeod in center. Hayward in right. Chipper. Escobar on the left side. Martin Prado, Troy Kloss, and Brian McCann is the catcher. Yeah, last time out for Tommy Hanson, he got a no decision because the Braves came back and won the game. But he went an inning and 2/3 and gave up 8 hits and 8 runs to Cincinnati.
Here's Gabby. Now, Hanson's not having the struggles that Coghlan has had, but he certainly isn't having the success that he had last year. Gabby's numbers through 44 games. He fouls a fastball back, and it's 0-2. Gabby Sanchez. A dozen doubles to go with his 4 homers. Fastball, and he drills it to center field. McLeod goes back. Lots of room out there, and he makes the catch.
We talked about Tommy Hanson and his last outing. A big ouch on the ERA with the 8 hits and 8 runs. Of course, the Reds have a solid hitting ball club. Look at that, everything up the middle and going the other way. So the Reds with a terrific approach against Tommy Hanson. And then all of a sudden, the big one, Joey Votto's grand slam, got him out of the game.
Career high in runs allowed, career low in innings pitched. He faces Hanley with nobody aboard and 2 outs. Hanley 1 for 4 last night with an RBI. Still sitting on 7 homers with 24 driven in.
Hanley has yet to get on one of those nice rolls where he starts driving the ball well. Not only getting base hits, but hitting with power.
There's a drive to right with power. Hayward back, looks up, it's gone.
Start the roll right now.
Opposite field. He rides it out of here. His 8th.
Does that get me off the hook for mentioning the error? We talked about it early in the year, because I think Hanley's first home run at Citi Field in New York was to right field, and last year he hit just one. He's hit 3 or 4 the opposite field this year. Good approach, solid line drive home run.
So a 1-0 lead. Here is Cantu.
Yeah, this year, Rich, Hanley's hit 2 home runs to left, 2 to center, and 4 to right.
Cantu has hit 8 on the season. And Hansen misses with a breaking ball. Jorge was 1 for 4 last night. The Marlins beat the Braves last night 6-4. They scored early. And they scored late. Cantu was part of that 3-run rally in the 8th inning, which turned out to be enormous. 3-0. Let's see if Georgie gets a green light on a 3-0 pitch. That's up.
No green light and no strike. Let's see how the scouting report plays out for Tommy Hansen. Has an aggressive approach. He's usually around the strike zone. 590s. He can get to mid-90s. Good tilt on the slider, bite on that breaking ball, and he throws a changeup too.
See, tilt and bite sounds like a bad carnival ride. And it'll be interesting to see if he fires some fastballs up there to Uggla. Dan has had a lot of success against the Braves in his career. And sits atop the home run lead along with Kelly Johnson in the National League, both with a dozen. Uggla is appearing in a lot of other categories. He's 5th in the National League in runs scored. He's 10th in the National League in slugging percentage. And yeah, Hansen doesn't want to throw him anything straight. As a result, he's fallen behind 2-0.
Let's see if he comes with something straight on the 2-0 pitch, because you know that's what Daniel will be looking for.
You can see Uggla getting geared up right now. Here's the 2-0. That's a nice job by Uggla, because oftentimes as a hitter you identify it as a fastball and your instincts say fastball hit, and holding up on a pitch like that, because if Uggla swings at that pitch, he gets himself out.
See if Dan gets a green light.
3-1. Cody Ross is on deck. Cantu's at first. Hanley is homered, and the Marlins are off to a 1-0 start. McCann wants a changeup. It's not a good one.
Well, I think we're really seeing Tommy Hansen. I know he's trying to make adjustments, but we're seeing him go away from that aggressive approach that we saw in the scouting report.
Away from his strength?
Yeah.
Roger McDowell may see the same things, and he's out there. You talked about his last start, and it was a short start. His previous start, he lost to Arizona in an 11-1 ball game. But his line was interesting. He went 7 innings, 5 runs. So you'd think he got knocked around. He didn't walk anybody, and he struck out 10. So he's got the stuff that all of a sudden can kick in.
That free swinging Diamondbacks club, too.
Cody Ross, a hot hitter, has 3 career at-bats against Tommy Hansen, and Hansen has struck him out all 3 times. throws of the last 3 outings. Got a fastball, just missed it, and it's 0-2. And it looks like the message that Roger McDowell delivered echoes the one that you had. He's gone back to his strength, 2 fastballs, and he's out in front 0-2.
Now he has the opportunity to maybe show Cody something other than the fastball. Now he's going inside. Anytime you see a catcher move inside, it's going to be a fastball.
I'm still waiting for the tilt and bite.
Haven't seen it. Saw the changeup that he missed to Dan Uglin. And again, a lot of times that starting pitcher has trouble in that first inning establishing his pitches.
1-2 coming.
There's a little bite on the curveball. Missed with it.
It's not a pitch he's been able to throw for a strike, or really get a swing and miss on. Let's see if he throws it again. 2-2. It's a long look in, too long for Cody, and he's going to step out.
You know, in the meantime, his pitch count's getting up there. 23 pitches so far for Hansen, who last year, when he first came on the scene in June, was the National League Rookie of the Month. He was 4-0 his first month in the big leagues.
Another tilt. That one bit outside, and now at 3-2, you got to think that Cody's going to get a fastball.
Yeah, his tilt tonight is like that carnival ride, all over the place. And you've got to believe with the way he's missed. I mean, he hasn't missed closely. He's missed badly. So you have to think that he's going to go with a fastball. If he throws a breaking ball in the strike zone, he'll probably get Cody Ross, because Cody's thinking fastball all the way, and he should.
Runners will be on the move. Uggla from first, Cantu from second. And he missed.
Still can't. That was a slider. He tried that and didn't even come close.
And they're loaded, and here's Paulino. Ronnie Paulino is one of the better fastball hitters that the Marlins have, and likes to swing early in the count.
Yeah, you know Ronnie's sitting on that first pitch fastball, a la Miguel Olivo.
Couple hits last night. Marlins have a run on a Hanley homer, and Hansen has walked the next 3 hitters.
Oh. Since the home run, he's thrown 12 balls and 4 strikes. You know, that first pitch, and Ronnie was taking all the way. It's one of those situations, I don't know if I agree with that, because yes, he's been wild, and the bases are loaded, but you're getting down toward the end of the order, and they're 2 out. You knew you were going to get a fastball, so I was really surprised he took that.
Let's see what he does 0-2. He threw a breaking ball 0-1. And Paulino did not offer. It's outside.
Well, it's a good take on that slider, because that was pretty close. And think about it, that first pitch fastball might be the best pitch he sees this whole at bat.
See if he goes back to the slider. A Marlin at every base. Breaking ball, check swing. Now the home plate umpire, Doug Eddings, said he went, and Hansen gets out of it. He strands 3, but he didn't strand this guy. Hanley goes deep, and the Marlins are off to a 1-0 start. second. Braves will bring up their slugging backstop, Brian McCann. Nate Robertson. We'll also see Yunel Escobar, and a Melky Cabrera sighting is expected as well. McCann 1 for 5 last night. That one was a big one. He drove in 2, as he is likely to do whenever he plays the Marlins. McCann usually has a big hit or 2 in a series.
You know, the big shift on, as always, with Brian McCann up there. Jorge Cantu moving over on the right side of that infield. You know, the Braves this year are 5-8 against lefty starters. You know, they have a few left-handers, a few switch hitters in their lineup. You look at guys like Escobar really struggling this year. I think that hurts that number a little bit.
Count full now at 3-2. Nate jammed him. Hanley will gobble it up. Tonight we're talking hitting, and we have assembled our top 10 sluggers of all time. Number 10, Willie Mays, the Say Hey kid, maybe the best all-around player to play the game.
Yeah, and was so much fun to watch. Could hit for average. Was not a big man. Had the speed, had the gold glove in center field, and was just a treat to watch.
Later on tonight, we're going to visit with Jim Presley to talk about the Marlin hitters. But tonight, every inning, we'll unveil a slugger. And I guess we'll have to define what the difference is between a hitter and a slugger. Escobar takes inside. What is the difference?
Well, I guess in my mind it would be Ichiro is a hitter. You know, he hits .330 every year and doesn't hit the long ball all the time.
Tony Gwynn was a hitter.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn. Wade Boggs.
Drive to right, and it's foul.
So guys that had the guys that combine both are just tremendous. But when you're talking about slugging, I think of slugging percentage, home runs, just big boppers, power numbers.
Our producer John Sulzer going through the footage and the list. When we get to the end of the night, we'll have him produce 1 through 10, and we'll let you maybe move some guys here or there and give everybody your top 10. No list is perfect. It's all for discussion. Cody Ross tried to give away a souvenir. Oh, you got to make that play. See, that's what happens, Tommy. You're on the cell phone. Guy's on his cell phone. He gets a ball tossed to him, and he can't make the play.
Don't try to catch a foul ball and text at the same time.
See, watch this guy. Look, he's got the cell phone.
Get rid of the phone, make the catch.
I know. Just hang up.
Ooh. Good try, because clearly Escobar is trying to get out of this slump he's in. He's trying to hit a few balls the other way, and all of a sudden a pitch just missed inside.
And Robertson lost him. So Escobar, 3 for his last 35, is aboard, and here comes Melky Cabrera. Family Sunday later on in this series, a 1:10 start against Ryan Howard and the Phillies. First 5,000 kids get a Dan Uggla poster, and all kids can run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash. 1-877-MARLINS, or visit marlins.com.
Rich, right now, Nate Robertson hasn't gotten in that groove. He's had 3 ball counts, 5 of the first 6 batters. And you know what? There are times during the game where he may pitch around a Hayward or a Gloss or even a Chipper, but you can't walk a guy hitting 175 when you're getting down to the bottom of that order, when you might be able to have yourself an easy inning. And he knows that, too.
Robertson coming back after a tough year last year. Had a back injury in May with the Tigers. In June, had elbow surgery to remove some masses Out of his elbow. Ended up going 2-3 with a 5.44 ERA.
Yeah, he had a nice stretch from 04 through 06 with the Detroit Tigers. He averaged 32 starts in 200 innings.
And that's what the Tigers based, or I guess took into consideration when they offered him the 4-year contract, and this of the last year of the contract, and the Tigers are paying almost all of that money. The Marlins took a shot at the end of spring training, and it's paid out nicely so far. He's going after his 5th win. Here's McLeod.
You know, it's interesting when you think about it. The Marlins are trying to get double bang for Nate Robertson. When they traded him just before the 03 season, or in the winter before the 03 season, they acquired Mark Redmond, who won 14 games for the World Championship team. So that paid off okay.
I like that. That's like a 2-for-1 night.
Yeah.
1-0. Seven or 8 innings with that many pitches, but I threw 6 1/3. The team won, and nothing bad happened. That's good to me on last night's 116 pitch outing. There's Sanchez's line last night. Cameron Maybin. Ouch. Hansen hits Maybin. And Maybin in a considerable amount of pain on his way down to first.
And I think, you know, it would be some say, well, Maybin hit a home run last night, but not at all the case. Hansen just is all over the place, has no control, walked 3 in the first inning, was fortunate to get out of that inning, and just lost that fastball there. Unfortunate, it gets Cameron Maybin, and that does not feel good.
Does it, you know, I think it looks less painful in Fox vision when it comes in slow like that. But just hearing it and seeing it in full speed, that's not good. Well, this sets up for Robertson, and Nate probably will be bunting Maybin up. Robertson, you could tell, is an American League pitcher just by the way he's squared, or
even bailed on that bunt attempt.
Yeah, he semi-squared.
Hey, he's done a nice job though this year with 4 sack bunts. I like the fact he has the elbow pad on though, because as a left-handed pitcher, he's a right-handed hitter, and that left elbow is exposed.
Josh Johnson taught him that. JJ, of course,
just the opposite.
Yep. Got to protect the moneymaker, baby.
What an outing Saturday. Mark it in your calendar and get out here. Josh Johnson and Roy Halladay, the Marlins and the Phillies. You know, the NL East right now, every team is 500 or above. In last place, the Mets are 23-23. The Marlins have played extremely well within their division. They're 12-5 within the NL East.
Robertson going to give this another try. Hansen, it's a double play.
That bad running, you got to make that ball be on the ground.
That's a bad angle there on the bat.
You got to have that bat on top of the ball. He popped it up, and even worse was Cameron going right there. You've got to make that ball on the ground. That is a mistake on the bases, and now 2 quick outs. And you're helping Hansen, who's really struggling with his control. You know, in contrast, talking about the Marlins against their division, the Braves are 4-11 against the National League East.
If you go back to 2008, the Marlins versus the East, second best, the Phillies, and not by much. Look how close they are. And nobody else is above 500. So the Marlins and the Phillies have been doing the damage.
That's pretty good right there. That's a good graphic. Extra credit for our crack staff on that one.
That's right. The crack staff right now, high fives all around. Here's another odd thing about this game. If you were to say who has thrown more pitches, the struggling Tommy Hansen or Nate Robertson, who looks rather comfortable, you'd think it was Hansen, but it's not. Robertson has thrown 2 more pitches than Hansen has, and Hansen is an out away from getting out of this second inning. A liner right to Chipper. He was just a pitch away, as Mick Jagger would say. Prado and Hayward. And we're joined now by Marlins hitting coach Jim Presley. Hi, Press. How are you?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us, Press.
Good, good. Let's talk hitting, Press. That's our topic of the night. And the Marlins have been doing quite well as of late. Let's start with the guy. Is there a guy in your lineup that you're pleasantly surprised with or that you're proudest of so far this season?
Probably Jorge Cantu and Danny Ugla. Those guys have swung the bat really well. and had some pretty good 2 months.
What has it been? I mean, is it more the same from Cantu last year, or more the same from Ugla?
Yeah, more the same. George, he's probably the most professional hitter we have, the best one that we have on the, as far as runners in scoring position. And Danny Ugla's had a great 2 months here.
Okay, who are the guys that you really had to work with? And I guess we could start with the 2 youngsters, Cameron Maven and Chris Cogman.
Yeah, Chris is, you know, I mean, he's hit some balls on the nose, and he's just been right there, and just, you know, hadn't had much luck. He's brought his average up to 220, and probably the last couple of weeks he's been swinging the bat pretty good for us. He just had some bad luck.
I know we talked to you earlier in the year, Press. Mentally, is he handling it okay?
Yeah, he's strong. I mean, you don't have to worry about him. He's going to hit. He's going to put up some numbers, and by the end of the year, you're going to see this guy hitting 280, 290.
How about Cameron Maven? We spoke with you about 3 weeks ago, and I think the operative word was aggressive and aggression, and it seems to have flipped a switch in him.
Yeah, he you know, he got tentative there. We faced some guys that were you know, had pretty good arms with Lincecum, Kane, and those guys in the San Diego Padres. He struggled a little bit, but he came on and, you know, started swinging about. I just told him you got to be aggressive. He got tentative and started, you know, he was always 0-2, 1-2, and just taking a lot of pitches for strikes. I told him you got to be aggressive.
Well, all of a sudden that aggression has turned into Nate Robertson. Hey, Press, we've been talking about great sluggers in the game. Your time, let's just pinpoint it to Seattle. When you were with Seattle as a player, give us your favorite hitter to watch, maybe a slugger that was really a good one.
Well, there was a few of them. I really liked Gorman Thomas. He was that old school type guy. Robin Yount was another guy. It was all American League, and you know, we didn't play interleague back then, so you didn't see much in the National League. But all those guys that were doing that back then with the Brewers and Don Mattingly and those guys, they were all real good hitters.
What about historically, Press? Who would be, if you had to pick one slugger in all of baseball history, who would it be?
I don't know. I'd have to sit there and think about it a little bit. There's a lot of good hitters over the years. It seems like now there's a lot more, you know, average hitters. And back then they had some power hitters, and, you know, Hanley hits the ball to right field. You don't see that a whole lot anymore.
Yeah. All right, Press. Thank you.
Okay, Rich. All right, Tommy.
All right. Thanks, Press.
And none of those have scored. Here's the bottom of the third. Gabby sharply out to short. Escobar to first. Willie Mays was number 10 on the Crack Staff's all-time slugger list. Here is number 9, Mark McGwire.
All I can say is that people would stop and watch him take batting practice. For what it's worth, you can go to the steroid thing or not. But in 1998, this guy did a lot for the game of baseball.
McGuire now the hitting coach for the St. Louis Cardinals. You heard Jim Presley say back in his day you didn't often see a right-handed hitter hit one out to right like Hanley did. And he bangs one into center field, a base hit. So Hanley's 2 for 2.
Yeah, good swings by Hanley. And how about the inning Nate Robertson had? 11 pitches, a couple of strikeouts, and was extremely aggressive. So he seems to have gotten back into his rhythm.
You almost heard the pride in Jim Presley's voice when he talked about Jorge Cantu and about what he has done over the last 2.5 seasons.
I think fans sometimes don't realize the closeness that coaches form with their players. Pitching coach with pitchers, a hitting coach with his hitters. He works with them constantly, day in and day out. Every hitter, when they're struggling, when they're up, when they're down.
And I think, too, something that a lot of people don't realize is that the relationship between a hitting coach and a hitter, you see Cantu's body of work as a Marlin, and even a pitching coach and a pitcher, it's not all just mechanical. It's mechanical and it's psychological. Cantu rips that one to left field. Cabrera in his tracks makes the catch.
At times, and I think more hitting coach to hitters because they're in there day in and day out. A little different from a starting pitcher and a pitching coach. At times, a hitting coach is a counselor, he's a father, he's a brother, he's a good buddy. You got to be a little bit of everything.
Marlins season tickets starting at just $85, and of course seat selection at the new Marlins ballpark starts this season for this year's season ticket holders. 1-877 Marlins. Mike Kozak, one of the Marlins trainers. Uggla's up with 2 outs.
You got to be careful too if you're Hanley. Even though Hansen is 6'6", he's pretty quick to the plate, but he has a very good move to first base.
Hanley was thrown out trying to steal last night. Uggla was one of the 3 walks after Hanley's homer in the first. A Ronnie Paulino strikeout ended that inning.
Yeah, it looks like Hansen has settled in a little bit as well.
Hanley's running, and the throw's into center field. Hanley's on his way to third.
Pretty good jump by Hanley. And then McCann airs one out and misses completely. So Hanley picks it up right away. So the stolen base, and then the error charge to Brian McCann. Good job by Hanley Ramirez.
1-1 count to Uggla. Breaking ball, scorched to Escobar, and he holds on. Marlins hit it hard the entire inning. of the Fish. Chipper spins on one, and it's 0-1. Chipper Jones leads it off for the Braves. He is 0 for 6 in the series. Troy Gloss, Brian McCann. Nate Robertson going right to work, and he's out in front 0-2.
Well, he's going right after the Braves hitters. He did so in the third inning with 11 pitches and 2 strikeouts.
It's fun to watch a guy like Robertson, who over the last couple of seasons has had his struggles on the field, but also physical struggles, injuries, surgeries. And looks like he's healthy, feeling good, throwing free, and for a guy like that to battle through it and get back to where he was at one point in his career was probably pretty satisfying.
Yeah, a guy who would go out, take the ball every 5 days, usually get you double figures in wins. He's got a good pace, too. He's picked it up a little bit.
Gabby makes the catch. We check in with Craig Unervino. Craig?
Thank you, Rich. The Marlins like to do what I like to call skill drills. They do it usually before every game, working on something different. Today, they were working with the outfielders, but not just hitting fungos. This is what they did. You had Reed Cornelius hitting to Coach Joe Espada in the batter's box, so you don't quite know where it's going to go. He was trying to hit the right field, and one of the 4 right fielders would then react and move to the ball. Now, Espada said the key to this drill is you got to go game speed, because you're never quite sure where the ball is going to go, since he's not just throwing it up and hitting it, self-hitting. He says it best replicates the game, but as long as you do it in the full speed, it gives the guys a good chance to go left, right, behind, or whatever the case. Little drills, they happen every day. There's nothing new to them, but just wanted to bring that to you. Later we'll show you some of the infield drill, including a special guest today at shortstop.
And every now and again, Joe will muscle up, hit one out, and trot around the bases.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, he hit them all to right field. Good little skill going the other way, as all good hitters do.
Troy Gloss with a 1-1 count. Tonight we are going through the greatest sluggers of all time. Willie Mays, who's number 10. Mark McGwire, number 9. And I know that you said, all steroids aside, McGwire had a lot of accomplishments, but I would make the point that were it not for steroids, he's probably not on that list. He probably, if he makes that list as number 9, the advantage that he gained from steroids probably pushed him into that list. I mean, if he does say he doesn't do steroids, he's probably not in the top 10. I know it's a discussion for another time, but I think it's a point worth making. AT&T trivia question. Let's flip the phone and do some slugger trivia. Only Brave to win the Hank Aaron Award. And it wasn't Hank Aaron.
I'm going to throw out a name. He's not on our list of top 10. Fred McGriff.
McCann bunting against the shift gets a hit.
We saw him try that last night, and he will when he sees that shift and he sees the need for a base runner. He fouled it off when he tried it last night. So Brian McCann this time gets the base hit and gets a little smile there. A lot of room for McCann. He's just trying to get it past Nate Robertson. And once he gets it past him, Nate with an effort there, but couldn't get to it. That's a first base hit for the Braves.
Number 19, the shortstop unit, Escobar.
How about Sid Bream?
Has the Hank Aaron Award? The Hank Aaron Award. There's a liner to center field. Back goes Maben. He's there, and he makes the catch.
Nice jump.
Hank Aaron Award is given to the top hitter, top slugger in each league as voted by the media. I don't think Sid Bream made it. But we'll find another Brave.
Sorry, Sid.
Florida, when you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-MAROONY. By Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. By Tobacco-Free Florida. Escape the addiction of tobacco. Be free. Visit FloridaQuitline.com. By AT&T, find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by South Florida Ford. Visit SouthFloridaFord.com for great offers. 1-0. Marlins on top, bottom of the fourth. Cody Ross. Now, out in left field, Tommy, something new in the ballpark this year. A Ford sign from the South Florida Ford dealers. And if a Marlin hits that sign with a fly ball, there is a fan that is selected each night before the game. That fan will win a Ford F-150 truck.
So right there, do you have to hit here, or do you have to hit the Ford sign? The dot?
I think it's just the sign.
Or just the sign.
But we'll double check, but I think it's the sign.
We'll get our Ford crack staff on that one.
Yes. Ross, Paulino, and Maven. Did you hear Cody?
It's been an interesting run of numbers for Tommy Hanson with pitches. Oh! He threw 29 pitches in the first inning, 8 in the second inning, and 6 in the third inning.
Here's the 1-1. That's a strike. By the way, the Hank Aaron Award started in 1999 to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Hank Aaron surpassing Babe Ruth's career home run marks.
That helps our guessing.
So the guy I'm going with was the monster year that Andrew Jones had.
See, I was going to go back to Bob Horner, but it wouldn't be Horner because it didn't start till 1999. You got to throw a Chipper Jones in there too, man.
I'll go Andrew. Remember, we had prepared all those big numbers for Andrew Jones in the White Sox series, and we never saw him.
Yeah, Ozzie didn't play him until they went to Cleveland.
Cody goes to right field again. He's been going down there to get some hits, some big ones.
Everybody has their own chair. That's the Hopper's chair.
It's a good thing Hopper wasn't there because the ball would have hit Hopper. There's the nasty tilt and bite in your scouting report. All right, let's flip the phone. Let's see if it's Chipper or Andrew. Or maybe someone we've missed.
Maybe somebody altogether different.
Ah,
Andrew Jones.
That was a visual decoy there.
quick, get all that information we had on Andrew Jones when we were in Chicago.
All right, hold on. Let me find my White Sox homework here in my pile of stuff.
Mine's back on the shelf at home.
Got it. Here we go. I'm ready, baby. Here he is.
Lay it on us. A little Andrew Jones stuff.
Andrew Jones, his biggest season as a Brave, 2005, 51 homers, 128 RBI.
The year of the award.
This is my White Sox homework. That's my cheat sheet. See? The White Sox.
Right there.
And I just had to dig it out of the bag. And I had a big section of Andrew Jones and
Omar
V.
Vizquel.
Vizquel. And we never saw him. We heard Omar singing Broadway is Dark Tonight, and that was a highlight, but we would rather have seen him play than hear him.
And we talked to him around the batting cage.
Yeah. And he went out and had 2 hits the next night.
A lot different Tommy Hanson these last few innings than that first inning.
The Marlins are hoping that Hanson is not one of those guys that you let off the hook and he comes back to beat you.
That's a tough pitch, especially after the last time you were up, you were drilled with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
No kidding. Boy, that's a quick trigger by Doug Eddings, who said he swung. Maven asked, how about an appeal? Hitters cannot ask for an appeal. Catchers can ask. Umpires do not automatically grant it.
Well, and I don't think I've ever seen, I think he swung, a first base umpire overturn a swing called by the home plate umpire. See it the other way. See a first base umpire call a swing on a check swing. But I don't think I've ever seen a first base umpire overturn a swing call of the home plate umpire.
0-2. Are those part of the unwritten rules of umpiring?
Possibly. They're in that same library of baseball unwritten rules for players and managers.
Escobar has had 3 line drives hit at him in this one. Hanson works a quick 4th. We go to the 5th. Alex Rodriguez makes the list at number 8.
I ask you the same question and the same statement you posed with Mark McGwire, because I didn't totally agree on that. Is Alex Rodriguez not on that list, if not for steroid implications, too?
Boy, it's hard.
See, now you shake your head.
No, I'm not.
If it's one, it's got to be all.
You know what? No.
Okay.
Not on that list. It's pretty simple to me. I mean,
see, I think they're extremely exceptional hitters, and I think even if McGwire, however long he did or didn't, I still think with the swing that he had, he would have created lots of power and home runs.
But would he have stayed healthy enough?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
I don't know.
It's hard to go back in history and put pieces of a puzzle back together when you don't have all the pieces and don't have all the knowledge in cases like Alex Rodriguez or Mark McGwire.
And that's why I think you just have to accept it as it is. And if you're going to make a list, you almost have to make 2 lists.
See, that's why I think I mean, if you look at some guys who played in an era where steroids were not present, Eddie Murray. I mean, someone like that didn't quite get to the level of a McGwire or a Alex Rodriguez, but did it cleanly.
Well, a guy who transcends that, and I think is on our list earlier, Ken Griffey Jr.
Yes.
Perfect example.
Yes, and is probably advanced up that list because of that.
And I don't know if Frank Thomas is on our list.
Ball hit well up the middle. Melky Cabrera has a base hit and a big turn at first. Time for the Keep Your Edge Spotlight, brought to you by Just for Men Mustache and Beard. Hanley Ramirez is the edge in this game right now. The only run coming on his homer. You too can keep your edge with Just for Men Mustache and Beard. That's a mustache and a beard for sure. Clout fouls one off, and it's 0-1. Like we said, the list assembled by our crack staff, and it was assembled with the idea that to prompt discussion,
which most lists do.
And when we get to the end of the night, if there's somebody that's not on that list and we want to move it on, we can make our own list. Last night was a successful email Tuesday. We had well over 500 emails. If we didn't get to yours, we apologize. Sometimes in a tight game like last night, we slow the flow down. I know, Tommy, there are some fans that do not have access to computers that want to participate in Email Tuesday. And so they go the traditional route, kind of the Pony Express route. The regular Mail Tuesday.
Well, and we figured we'd get one of those in tonight. We had a nice letter, not an email, a letter from a fan, Doug, in Tequesta. And I know you helped out in this because the question was, when a pitcher starts to deliver, if the batter gets time called, when, in fact, does an umpire grant a batter time? When the pitcher started the delivery, or just what is the timing when you see that happen, when an umpire calls time? And you went down and talked to the umpires.
Yeah, working home plate is Doug Eddings. I went to the umpire's room. You don't bother the guy working the dish. He's sort of like a starting pitcher. So I went to Dana DeMuth and asked him. Molino has it pop out of his glove. It's going to be a pass ball. And it counts 2-2. Well, they're ruling it a wild pitch.
I think it's a pass ball. I agree with you.
And I asked Dana DeMuth, and he said the rule is this, and this is how most umpires interpret it. If a batter's in a box and the pitcher starts his windup and nothing unusual happens, a paper bag blows by, something like that, the umpire will not grant time once that windup has started. Ball in the air, Maben circling it, Cabrera's tagging, on his way to third, and here's where that pass ball really hurts because the Braves now have a runner at third and 1 out.
Yeah, and think about it. If he were at first, he probably wouldn't have tagged and gone to second. A little different throw for Cameron Maben. Yeah, so if the batter is taking his backswing and accidentally hits the catcher's mitt, maybe time will be granted. But that's usually when it's called. And the pitcher is always instructed, hey, if you start that windup, all of a sudden you see the hitter stepping out, go ahead and continue with your windup and pitch. So Doug in Tequesta, we hope we answered your question. Doug is at a great golf course up there up in Jupiter at Admiral's Cove. So we had to get that in because it's a great place to play.
The good news out of this is that it's Tommy Hanson who's the hitter. Admiral's Cove?
Mm-hmm.
See, the next time Tommy goes to Admiral's Cove, they'll be taking care of him.
So you have the East or the Village course.
Listen to you. There's a strike, and it's 0-2.
We know that Bobby Cox likes to squeeze.
Hanson just trying to make contact. Robertson's just trying to rear it back and throw it by him.
Well, I think he's got him in a position now 0-2. First of all, you eliminate the squeeze with 2 strikes. He has him in a position ahead 0-2 where he can make a good pitch. Get him to chase a pitch because this is where he's looking for a strikeout.
Breaking ball, ground ball, foul. And a souvenir. See, now that guy was not talking on his cell phone.
Well, all the people he wants to talk to are with him right there.
That's a great point. Ball and 2 strikes, 1 out, 5th inning. Marlins up 1-0. Nate Robertson trying to keep it that way. Hanson won't bite on that breaking ball.
Yeah, tried to get him to bite on that pitch down and in.
There's your Toyota Fox Tracks. A liner, foul. Boy, Hanson had a great swing.
Kind of want to stay away from that pitch. Hanson had a pretty good swing. Got the fastball, didn't get it in. That's a nice swing.
Another 2-2. Center field. That's going to get the job done. Maben there makes the catch. And the Braves have tied the game.
Seeing the difference, I don't think they've changed it. And I know you and I agreed on the pass ball, not the wild pitch. If it's a pass ball, it's an unearned run. If it's a wild pitch, it's an earned run.
It's a big at bat by Tommy Hanson. Here's Prado now. He's 0 for 2. He fouls it off. Here's that pitch in question.
That's a pass ball.
That's a pass ball.
Very catchable.
There's no question.
Either way, Tommy Hanson helped himself.
Yeah, it doesn't change the outcome of the inning. So a 1-1 game. Prado's lined out, and the strikeout was looking in the 3rd. And now he's popped it up. Sanchez makes the catch, but a costly mistake by the Marlins, and it's 1-1. There's a guy that deserves to be on that list. Number 7, and the number fits.
You know what I think is interesting when you look at the footage of Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, you see guys who are average-sized guys. Who Mickey Mantle was not 6 feet, if he was, just barely. Willie Mays was about 5'11". Hank Aaron about 6 feet.
Nate Robertson did not make the list. He's followed by Chris Coughlin and Gabby Sanchez. So Mays at 10, McGuire at 9, A-Rod at 8, Mantle at 7. Pitches up.
I liked a couple of those names Jim Presley mentioned.
Gorman Thomas.
Gorman Thomas. Stormin' Gorman.
Robin Yount. That was the American League back in the late 80s, early 90s.
And one of the names that Jeff Conine mentioned was great, too, because he was just thinking pure sluggers. Rob Deere, one of the first guys who struck out a whole lot, but could hit a home run 500 feet.
Well, when Craig lobbed in a Dave Kingman, I think Niner answered with a Steve Balboni. Coughlin now.
Let's see if the Marlins can take advantage of the Tommy Hanson mistake, walking Nate Robertson to start the inning.
You feel like the Braves have some momentum in a 1-1 game, with Hanson escaping all the walks and the messiness early, and then the Braves getting the run to tie the game here in the 5th.
Well, he kind of put it together. Remember, 29 pitches in the first inning. He then threw 29 pitches in the next 3 innings. But he looks like he's a little out of whack again, walking Robertson and missing badly with that first pitch.
Coughlin takes up 2-0. That's a pitch that has given Coughlin difficulties this year. The fastball up and in, and it definitely has been in the scouting report of every team he has faced.
And I don't think there's any question that teams are pitching him differently.
Last 5 games, Coughlin just 1 for 19. It looked like he had pulled out of it.
Just when it looked like he might be coming out of it. And I think it's certainly worth noting, it was reported, it's certainly out there, that the last 3 or 4 games for Jacksonville, Mike Stanton, who everybody expects up here soon, has been playing left field. For the most part, was playing in right field.
We had many emails last night asking if and when Stanton comes up, where does he play? And I think we all, and we said it last night on the show, I think every outfielder that the Marlins have is looking in their rearview mirror a bit.
Yeah, you got Brett Carroll, you got Cameron Maven, you have Chris Coughlin, you have Brian Peterson.
I'm sure Cody Ross is thinking about what happens to me.
Nah, Cody's not worried. He just knows he might shift positions.
Three-2. Struck him out. Coughlin goes down.
And there's a situation where he knew he was going to get a fastball. 3-2. And a pretty good pitch to hit. It wasn't up in that area that's giving him trouble. He just swung through it.
Here's Gabby now. He's flied out, bounced out. Breaking ball and a good one. 0-1. Gabby's bounced out. That was back in the third. He hit a sharp ground ball to Escobar. Escobar has had a lot of balls hit hard at him at short. 1-2. Nate Robertson still at first. Mets and Phillies are back at it tonight with the Mets on top 2-0 in the 6th. Jose Reyes has hit his first homer of the season.
It's going to be a long time out there on the bases for Nate Robertson. A little unusual for him all the time in the American League. He didn't have to worry about that. Look at it from a positive, just going to help him stay loose. That's all.
Well, if he ends up scoring, it'll all be worth it.
And it'll really be a positive then.
Gabby turns on one, left field, Cabrera back, it's off the wall, bounces over his head. Robertson on his way to third. Gabby pulls in at second with a double. 13th double of the season.
Boy, I love seeing Gabby Sanchez with 2 strikes. It almost looks like he even concentrates more. He's an exceptional 2-strike hitter. Pulls the hands in on the fastball. Our checkers double of the game. Off the wall, and Cabrera gets a little bit too close to the wall, and it bounces back over his head. That's a solid swing. His name is up there in all the rookie categories. He doesn't play in New York. People know more about Ike Davis than they knew about Gabby Sanchez, and Ike Davis isn't near any of his numbers.
Now the Braves, showing some respect to Hanley Ramirez, are going to walk him intentionally to get to Jorge Cantu.
Start telling people about Gabby Sanchez. We had to tell people last year about Chris Cogley as a rookie. Even though Bobby Cox knows that Jorge Cantu hitting .404 with runners in scoring position, he's showing respect for the way Hanley has swung the bat tonight against Tommy Hanson.
Cantu against Hanson tonight has walked and then hit a line drive out to left. So he's had a couple of good at-bats. And this is the second time in the ball game that the Marlins have had the bases loaded with 2 outs. It didn't work out in the first. Ronnie Paulino struck out to end the inning. And my bad, there's just 1 out. So it is the second time they've had the bags loaded. First inning there were 2 outs. Here, there's 1 out. The Braves obviously hoping for a ground ball. Cantu looking for something he can hit in the air. Got a pretty good fastball, 0-1. Eric O'Flaherty. Breaking ball, ground ball, base hit, left field. Robertson scores. Here comes Gabby. Here comes a throw. He is out at the plate. McCann tags him out. Great pick by McCann on a short hop throw from Melky Cabrera. It's a 2-1 game. Here comes Ugla.
But once again, Jorge Cantu with a great swing. Gets it past Escobar. Melky Cabrera got that ball well before the runner, Gabby Sanchez, was at third. And makes a good throw, but he did short hop his catcher and got a nice pick from McCann. You know, you take that chance. For the most part, Joe Espada's been correct. That time he got burned. It happens.
Ugla. Cantu adds to his average with runners in scoring position.
And makes his hitting coach, Jim Presley, more proud.
And you know what, Tommy? It was worth it for Nate Robertson, all that time out on the bases.
He came in to score, so that leadoff walk to the pitcher, Tommy Hanson had to pay the price.
Marlins paid the price for a pass ball. back in the top of the inning. Braves for a leadoff walk to the pitcher here.
Good response by the Marlins to come back after the Braves scored at the top half of the inning.
One. Ugly drives it to center and deep. Back goes McLeod. Looking, reaching, makes the catch. He hit it right on the button. And the Marlins get just a run and lead 2 more, but lead it 2-1.
Vía SAP y es presentado por KFC.
Press the SAP button. Tito and Cookie arrive. Hi, guys. How are you tonight?
They're focused on the game. Every once in a
Dos
while,
carreras por una.
every once in a while, Cookie gets so focused on the game, he just shuns us.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. Cookie would never shun us. We had a technical snafu.
Very important inning for
Oh, yeah.
Nate Robertson. He was on the base paths most of the inning, and he has the meat of the order for the Braves here in this one.
Hayward, chipper, gloss. Hayward into right. And there's Cody Ross to make the catch. Hayward has an interesting swing. It goes along with the nickname of the team, but he has kind of a tomahawk swing for a left-handed hitter. For a big man, that's kind of rare.
Stays on top of the ball. He doesn't have that big looping type swing, which is good. It's going to keep him around a long time, and he probably will be.
He doesn't have the big uppercut swing that some of the sluggers have on our list. Let's see, we stopped at 7, right? We've got Mays, McGuire, A-Rod, and Mantle. Number 6 is about to arrive. Chipper swings and misses. Chipper just doesn't look like Chipper right now. There's the hopper.
And he's not hitting from either side. You look at his numbers, 226 he came into this game. And he's hitting in the 230s right-handed and the 2 teens left-handed. So it's not going along with his career. I mean, his career, he's a 300 career hitter.
Those are his averages at 26 homers, 90 RBIs. The slugging percentage to me is just incredible, the drop that he's had. And it's 1-2.
Guys, Chipper said today, reiterating what he said, is he's not guaranteed to come back next year. I believe, Rich, I don't know if you have his contract. I think he does have a deal through next year, but he turned 38, and he said, if I'm not having what he called a productive season, driving in runs, maybe not over 300 like the past, but being productive, he did not lock in at all, saying he's a lock to be in spring training next year. He does not want to be an albatross to the organization. And that could mean turning down millions of dollars.
Well, I do have a contract, but it's not as big as Chipper's. Chipper's
contract, Rich.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
His contract, Craig, is guaranteed through 2012.
Yeah, there you go.
At 13 a year. And there's an option with a buyout in 13. So he's owed over $30 million on that contract.
But you know what? I agree with Craig, and I truly do believe if Chipper doesn't think he's productive, he'll walk away from that. Because of what the organization has meant to him and certainly what he's meant to the organization.
You do wonder if he'll be the number 3 hitter the entire season, or if he continues to struggle, do you think Bobby Cox might have to move him around the lineup?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier. It's awful tough, and Bobby Cox has been putting him in the 3 spot for so long. And Jason Hayward is a guy that you probably would put in that spot.
He would project to hit there, yeah.
Maybe you move Chipper down behind Gloss in the 5 spot or the 6 spot.
Moving behind McCann.
Yeah.
I think that lineup card comes with Joe's name already imprinted in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, they print them up before the season.
2-1 to Gloss, who has struck out and bounced out.
100 pitches for Nate Robertson.
All right, number 6 on our slugger list. Frank Robinson, number 6.
What a feared slugger.
Yes. What a fearless slugger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A guy that would get brushed back, knocked down, and get up and homer. Frank Robinson. I was making a list of guys that might be on that list or might not be, and if they weren't on that list, I would add them. And Robinson was one of the guys at the top of my list, that if he didn't appear in the top 10, then he's a guy that definitely deserved to be there. Robertson loses Gloss. It's going to bring up McCann.
See, let me throw a name out. And again, I have not seen the list. Neither one of us have. What a great hitter this Hall of Famer was in his playing day. But I don't think he would be on the slugger list, even though he had over 400 career home runs, would be a Stan Musial. But he might be.
He might be. See, that's the type of guy that, and here's my point about the steroids.
Yeah.
It's a top 10 list, okay? If McGuire is 9 and A-Rod is 8, that means they just made the top 10.
So they edged out guys who were from another era.
Right. They edged out guys that were clean.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
we'll have to see if Frank Thomas is on the list then.
Right. Now our crack staff is saying possibly they were dropped lower because of the steroids.
That's a good point. Maybe they'd have been in the top 5. Maybe they would have been in the top 5.
Sure.
Where's Barry Bonds going to be on that list?
I'll bet you he's in the top 5. I'll bet you Sammy Sosa's not on the list. That pitch is foul.
Yeah, but I would disagree with that. He might not be if Mark McGuire's on the list. Where is Sammy Sosa?
He's in a tanning salon somewhere.
That's just the opposite.
Oh, remember he had that skin procedure that turned his face white? I mean, I think the last time we saw him, he'd gone back. I don't know. I don't know what that procedure is called.
He was going with the Billy D. Williams haircut and everything. I didn't even recognize it.
Billy D. Williams. There's a ground ball foul. 6 points. Counts 1 and 2. 2 outs. Marlins have the McCann shift. Remember, he bunted for a base hit his last time up. Right now he's trying to drive in the run. A balk is called, and all 4 umpires called it.
Which is rare, so obviously Nate did something. He's saying, my bad. He's saying, yeah, I balked. Because usually you'll hear 1 or 2 umpires call the balk.
Yeah, that changes the shift a bit.
Changes the whole complexion of this at bat. The good news, he has a 1 and 2 count on McCann. Watch his hand. Yep, he moved the glove. He started to bring the glove and start to get in his set position, and he stopped. And usually that is caused by you're looking in at the sign, you think you know what the sign is, then all of a sudden it changes and they stop.
Got a nasty breaking ball. Great comeback by Robertson and 6 solid innings from the lefty from Wichita State. Marlins on top of the Braves. 2-1. Here's the deal. It's a post-game concert. Luis Enrique and Jerry Rivera following a fireworks spectacular, all presented by Coca-Cola. Marlins and the Phillies at 7:10. Marlin fans get a tambourine courtesy of Majestic Athletic. All of that pales in comparison to the pitching matchup of a Super Saturday. It is Roy Halladay and Josh Johnson, Phillies Marlins.
You should be out here for that alone.
But the concert will be fun as well. Cody Ross swings and misses a Tommy Hanson offering in the bottom of the 6th in a 2-1 game. In a game in which the Marlins have had a runner thrown out at the plate. They've had opportunities. They've left 6 on base. But Hanson has good enough stuff that he's been able to pitch himself out of some jams.
What a great job, speaking of pitching out of jams, a great job by Nate Robertson last inning. Which could be his final inning. Gone over 100 pitches, 107.
Cody has walked and struck out. 0-2 coming.
Hey, think about it. Nate Robertson, that's probably right around the range. The most pitches he's thrown in a game this year, 105. He's done that a couple of times. So 107 tonight.
The Mets are shutting out the Phillies.
Rod Barajas with 3 RBIs.
Yeah. 4-0. It was R.A. Dickey last night. Cody rolls it to third. Chipper on the move. Throws out Ross. And up comes Paulino. Ronnie has struck out twice. He had 2 hits last night. Big Papi has homered again tonight.
I'll tell you what, Big Papi's gotten hot.
Fly ball right field. Hayward. Nice play. That makes the catch. Boston leads the Rays 6-2. I wonder how long it took Big Papi to run around the bases, because his last home run was clocked at over 30 seconds on his home run trot, which is the longest home run trot so far in baseball this year.
Wow.
There's a website that actually tracks.
That's amazing in itself.
Home run trots.
He had a big double last night. The Red Sox are on a nice roll. They've won 4 in a row, trying to make it 5 in a row, and trying to make it 3 in a row over Tampa.
May have been a high fly ball. Hayward is waiting, and he makes the catch. And Tommy Hanson gets through 6. We go to 7-1. Coors Light 6th inning. Coors Light freeze Cam. Look at that. We've been talking hitting.
I like that real stiff front side. Head on the ball. And then really fooling Chipper Jones with that breaking ball down and in. And what happens to an older player? Maybe they get just a tick behind that fastball. They start to cheat a little bit. You can get him with that good slider.
Frostbrewed Coors Light freeze Cam.
Hey, guess who's in the game?
Hopper's seat is empty because Hopper is in the game. Burke Badenhop gets Yunel Escobar. A sweeping slider for a strike, and it's 0-1. Escobar, Cabrera, and McLeod. Badenhop's numbers. The ERA has started to grow. He's had a few appearances where he's given up some runs.
And he's had a little more sporadic appearances. Last time for the Hopper was in St. Louis a week ago.
Escobar has walked and lined out. Up the middle. Hanley tracks it, bobbles it. Escobar beats it.
That's a tough play. Ball had a lot of spin on it because Escobar was jammed. As Hanley went up the middle, you can see the ball come up and take a little tricky hop right there. He goes up with it, but didn't get it cleanly in the glove, so as he went to get it and transfer it into the throwing hand, just couldn't get it there in time.
And Escobar cleanly beat it at first. Going to go as a base hit, and here's Cabrera now. Escobar can run a little bit. He has stolen 3 bases this year.
Got that possible hit and run combination.
Cody picks it up. Braves are set up first and second. Nobody out. And the hopper gets some hot water. Here comes McLeod. He is 0 for 2. Sanchez and Meyer.
Now you just can't get Brian Sanchez up every night. So you try to mix and match, and tonight was the night for Hopper. Now he's got himself in a little bit of a jam.
Well, what Hopper does best, Tommy, is get ground balls, and he's been able to get 2 ground balls. One was hit hard into right. The other was an outstanding pitch that ended up as an infield hit.
Tough guy to double up, though. He's probably going to be punted.
Drops it down foul.
And Bobby Cox has moved Eric Hinsky into the on-deck circle, another left-handed bat.
You wonder if that's a Dan Meyer assignment if we get that far. McLeod hitting below 200. Drops down the bunt. Baden Hop picks it up, fires to first, gets the out. And we'll see what happens here for both the Marlins and the Braves. All-you-can-eat seats for the Marlins and the Phillies on Friday the 28th. One low price, all the hot dogs, peanuts, nachos, popcorn, and soda you want. 305-626-SAVE or visit marlins.com. Hinsky is announced, and as soon as he's announced, Freddie comes out of the dugout. Got to wait till he's announced. You can't come out too soon. And Dan Meyer's going to get the call. We'll see if Bobby Cox sticks with Hinsky when we return from a Marooney call to the bench. Lineup card, and Eric Hinsky is going to hit against Dan Meyer.
I'll give you an interesting scenario. Bobby Cox sent up the left-hander, veteran. In his mind, he thought, well, maybe Freddie will leave Baden Hop out there because remember early in the year, Burke Baden Hop faced Chase Utley and Ryan Howard. But Baden Hop was pitching better then. And I think Freddie has a little more confidence in Dan Meyer. So now Freddie has the matchup as the chess game has begun on his side with the lefty-lefty matchup.
And so Meyer in a big spot now with runners at second and third. One out in the seventh. Marlins trying to bridge the gap between starter to eighth inning and Clay Hensley / Leo Nunez in the eighth and the ninth. Meyer's difficulties have been well chronicled this year, especially against lefties. Escobar and Cabrera. Hinsky hasn't faced many lefties this year. And Paulino has to dig it out of the dirt. 2-0.
And I think we saw Struggles last night when Rainiel Pinto came in to face Hayward. He hit him. Finally got Chipper Jones on a line drive out. So still, Freddie doesn't have that ultimate lefty to come in with nasty stuff against a left-handed hitter.
Good breaking ball, and Hinske went after it, and it's 2-1. You saw the big numbers for Hinske this year. The Braves against lefties at 224. Hinske is 25 for 67 against righties. He's just 1 for 5 against lefties, so only 5 at bats against lefties this year.
That's why he didn't start tonight, and why Melky Cabrera did.
2-1 coming. Now Myers having trouble locating the fastball, and the only strike that he's thrown to Hinske was the slider, and there's Prado. Brian Sanchez is ready for him. In the dirt.
But you just can't have confidence in your lefties when you bring one in and he hits a batter, and you bring another in to face a lefty and he walks it.
And so Freddie does the only thing that he can do, and that's come out, remove Meyer. He's going to have to do it with a double switch, because the pitcher spot for the Marlins is due to lead off in the bottom of this inning. Brian Sanchez coming in. Here's our Marooney. Called to the pen.
Car, truck or van. Who you gonna call? Marooney!
The bases are loaded. There's one out. The Marlins started the inning with Bert Badenop on the right, continued it with Dan Meyer on the left, and because of where the pitcher is due up next half inning, Brett Carroll comes in a double switch. Carroll is going to lead off in the bottom of the 7th, unless there's another double switch made. Cody Ross is now in center, and that brings Brian Sanchez in to Cameron Maben's spot, 8th in the order.
Well, we saw Brian Sanchez last night. He came in to face Martin Prado and struck him out on a borderline pitch. Good pitch on the outer part of the plate.
Prado does, however, lead the National League in hits. Added that total with 3 last night. Drives the ball to center field. That's deep enough to tie this game. Cody makes the catch, and the Braves have tied it. Escobar scores. Both Brave runs have come on sacrifice flies. And now the Marlins are left with Sanchez to face Hayward.
And this is where, if you look down the road, where the Marlins are going to get hurt this year, if they can't get that lefty that can get lefties out, when you have Hayward in this lineup, you have McCann, you have Utley, you have Howard, you have Ibanez in the division. Coming up in a 4-game series, you're going to have to deal with Prince Fielder.
Hayward is 0 for 3. Sanchez misses up with a changeup. He looks older than 20, and he acts a lot older than 20. Very mature. Very smart.
Boy, has he come up big already in his young career with 35 RBIs.
Cabrera and Hinsky on the corners.
And forget about where he stands amongst rookies. Pretty good pitch there. He's 5th in the league in RBIs.
Change up. It's a foul ball.
Good effort. That was that splitter, and that's a good pitch. Because keep in mind, these guys haven't matched up before.
He's got 2 strikes on him. Breaking ball popped him up. Let's see if there's room for Gabby. To the wall he goes. And it's 5 rows in.
I like the way Gabby gets to that wall immediately and then uses his hand to brace himself.
Our leaders of the game brought to you by JM Lexus. 2010 RBI leaders. We've got a couple of them.
We'll see Casey McGee when the Brewers are in town.
Absolutely.
Along with Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder. That's a pretty good offensive club.
Another 2-2 coming. Like a changeup.
Yeah, there's an example of what we've heard about Hayward, how even at his young age, he's able to identify pitches. Now, he's seen that pitch before. A lot of young hitters are going to chase that. And that might have been the split. And he laid off.
He went after a high fastball.
Good combo, though. You miss down with that split, and then you go up with a good fastball.
At the corners, Braves have a run here in the 7th, and it tied this game at 2. Him, that might not be the worst thing in the world. As odd as that sounds, with Chipper Jones coming up.
Boy, a real nail biter just to get through this 7th inning, and the Marlins aren't through it yet.
No, the Braves are chewing up Marlin relievers at a rapid rate. Badenhop, Meyer, now Sanchez is in. Sanchez worked a 1/3 of an inning last night. Chipper is 0 for 3. As bad as he's going, still last night against Pinto, and you see the Braves have the bases loaded. against Pinto, Chipper Jones fell behind in the count, battled, and then hit a liner at Cantu for the last out.
He's trying the off-speed stuff. If he misses with one in the strike zone, Chipper can get to that, hit it. But now all of a sudden 2-0, he's got to throw in the fastball. No place to put him.
And now he's got 3-0.
Marlins pitchers tonight have had 12 three-ball counts.
Not much a manager can do. Walks in a run.
Number 25, first baseman Troy Gloss.
Here's Troy Gloss. Marlins bullpen shows some activity. 3-2 Atlanta. Now it's Gloss, who was 0 for 2.
Troy Gloss frustrated right now in the midst of an 0 for 15.
But capable with one swing of breaking this thing open. The only other options for Freddie in the pen right now would be a Tim Wood or a Reniel Pinto. You don't want to go get Clay Hensley now, and obviously not a Nunez.
And you have to try to get through this inning and maybe use a Tim Wood for the 8th inning if you're losing 3-2.
Freddie has already double switched because the pitcher is due to lead off the bottom of the 7th. And this is the third reliever to work this inning. Right field, Carroll on a hop, picks it up. Hayward will score, 2 across, and Gloss makes it 5-2. Well, Brian Sanchez is taking the punishment here.
Now that fastball out over the plate, very hittable for Troy Gloss. Yeah, he's taking the punishment, but the runs are being charged to 2 to Badenhop, 1 of them to Dan Meyer.
Here is McCann. McCann rips it to right field. Over for it is Carroll. Runner coming home. And BC's throw is offline. Chipper scores. It's 6-2. The Braves have broken it open.
Well, they have, and I think they've also really exposed a weakness that the Marlins have.
Well, the inning opened with Bert Badenhop getting a jam shot from Yunel Escobar. Remember the ball that crawled up Hanley's glove? Escobar was safe at first. Then Cabrera with a line drive to right, a sacrifice by McLeod. The Braves pinch hit Eric Hinsky. The Marlins brought in Dan Meyer to face that lefty, and he walked him on 5 pitches. Then the Marlins had to bring in Sanchez. He got a sacrifice fly off the bat of Prado. That scored a run. Walked Hayward, walked Jones, and RBI hits from Gloss and McCann. And it's back to the original guy that led off the inning in Escobar, the 10th man to hit in the inning.
You saw David Ross pinch hitting for McCann. He'll stay in and catch.
Wood is getting loose as fast as he can in the bullpen.
Yeah, this is one of those games, Rich, where fans are out there booing.
Up with the ball is Coghlan. Runner comes home. Coughlin's throw. He is safe. Gloss scores 7-2.
Everybody's booing, but you'd like to go down and ask them, okay, who do you want to bring in? Pinto? You want Tim Wood? We'll probably see Tim Wood. So Escobar.
That was close.
That was very close. A lot closer than I thought. The throw's a little bit more on line. Ronnie Paulino has a chance.
Melky Cabrera.
So a close game has turned into an ugly game.
They have a 5-run lead for the Braves. Escobar with 2 hits in the inning. Oh and 2. The difference last night, the Marlins were able to get through the 7th. Sanchez, Pinto, and of course, Anibal Sanchez got the first out of that 7th inning. Not tonight. Baden Hop, Meyer, and Brian Sanchez. Have given up 6 runs. Coghlan and Ross. Coghlan makes the catch. The Marlins have dug themselves a 5-run hole.
and didn't get cheated.
Marlins now have to deal with the Braves bullpen.
Well, a guy they've seen a lot, Peter Moylan, who does have that submarining type delivery, very tough on right-handed hitters, and you see he's having a good year, 196 with the ERA.
Brett Carroll takes outside. Marlins had their chances against Tommy Hanson, who walked 4, hit a batter, and the Fish got just 2 runs against him. Actually, he walked 5, including the intentional walk of Hanley Ramirez.
Double switch, so Hinske stays in the game at first. Gloss is out, and that's where Moylan's hitting.
Slow roller to short.
Yeah, remember David Ross came in to pinch run for Brian McCann, so Ross stays in the game behind the plate.
Coughlin now, top of the order. Oh for 3 is Coughlin, and he has hit another dry patch. Into center field. That's a base hit.
They kind of break down the bats, the swings. A base hit. Remember, a line drive out in the second inning. A couple of good swings, but a 1 for 4 so far.
Sanchez now, who has doubled in 3 trips. Last night, the bottom of the order, very productive. Cody Ross and Ronnie Polino and Cameron Maben all producing. 6, 7, 8 hitters. Not tonight. The bottom of the order has been quiet, and Gabby rolls one that looks like 2. Escobar takes it himself. Throws a BB on over to first. And the Marlins are done. In the 7th, we go to the 8th. Game summary brought to you by Land Rover. It was an ugly inning for the Fish. It started with that broken bat single by Yunel Escobar. That was against Bert Badenhop. Melky Cabrera to right. Dan Meyer came in to get the lefty out. Didn't. Prado tied the game with a sac fly. Brian Sanchez couldn't throw strikes. He walks Jason Hayward. Walks Chipper Jones. Troy Gloss bangs one into right field. And the Braves were off and rolling. How about a Brian McCann RBI single? Bring up Yunel Escobar again. His RBI single before it was done, 6 runs and a 7-2 lead. Visit LandRoverUSA.com today. McLeod against Tim Wood.
And Rich, an announcement was made as expected. They have changed that wild pitch back in the 5th inning to a pass ball. So the 1 run that Nate allowed, an unearned run.
Tim Wood brings an ERA of 6.5. This is his 10th appearance. Cody is there, and he makes the catch.
Number 20, first baseman, Eric Hinsky.
Here's Hinsky now. Marlins got a run in the first on a Hanley Ramirez homer. They had the bags loaded after that and did not score. Braves then tied it in the top of the 5th. The Marlins got that run back in the bottom of the 5th. Nate Robertson goes 6 innings. And he was outstanding. Gave up just the 2 hits.
Yeah, Nate was terrific. A little struggle in the 1st inning. Then he got himself in a nice groove. Had 5 strikeouts, walked just a pair, gave up the unearned run.
Through 107 pitches. Ground ball. Uggla's there. On to first. Let's continue our top 10 sluggers list. When last we left, Reginald Martinez Jackson was number 5. This would be number 4. Josh Gibson. And some of you may not have heard of Josh Gibson. He was a legend in the Negro Leagues. Some said he was the black Babe Ruth. Many others said that Ruth was the white Josh Gibson. He was that good.
And many stories told on some of the legendary home runs. There's one legend that he apparently hit a ball out of Yankee Stadium entirely.
He hit between 150 and 200 home runs in official Negro League games. Some estimate he hit almost 800 to 1,000 home runs from newspaper accounts across the United States. A little closer examination of Negro League statistics.
But nevertheless, a slugger.
That one fouled at the plate. Died of a stroke at age 35 in Pittsburgh. Just 3 months before Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. Josh Gibson belongs on that list. Tim Wood gets a line out and works a brief inning here in the 8th.
the Marlins 7-2. We mentioned some of the drills the Marlins did before the game. We showed you the outfield drill. They also did some infield drills today, and they had a little guest appearance at shortstop from the guy we call, is that Brett Carroll? Yes. Taking some balls at shortstop, and look out if you're shooting it.
This is the man you almost killed, but he's okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've been known to do that a few times in college and in the minor leagues.
All right, Brett Carroll talking about nearly taking off Brian Doherty's head, but actually he showed some good range. And Joe Espada works with the infielder, said, you know what, anytime he wants to come down, it's even though he doesn't play the infield here, works on lateral moves, left, right, and he wants to work out and do some extra work. Nothing that the manager said, just something BC wanted to do. And he came up, guys, as a third baseman and played some shortstop, too, in the minor leagues.
Well, he certainly has the arm for it over there at short. Hanley Ramirez fouls it off. 0-2 quickly. Peter Moylan, the Aussie, staying in there for the Braves. Hanley, Cantu, Ugla in the bottom of the 8th inning in a game that has gotten away from the Marlins. A 2-1 lead going into the 7th. The Braves got 6 against the Marlins bullpen. End of the bat, and it stays foul. Coors Light Cold Blast. If you missed it back in the first against Tommy Hanson.
Boy, high fastball, and that was an absolute rocket. Got out about the first or second row on the line.
Ricky Nolasco, Josh Johnson, Chris Volstad. Hanley drives this one to left field. Cabrera is back. And he makes the catch. The series concludes tomorrow. Ricky Nolasco starts for the Fish. Tim Hudson will go for the Braves. The last time Ricky Nolasco faced Atlanta, remember, it was late last year. And the finest performance in Ricky's young career.
No, and I guarantee they remember it too.
16 Atlanta Braves went down, 9 of them in a row.
Now, I'll tell you what, Tim Hudson, the veteran, is off to a tremendous start. 5-1 and an ERA a little over 2, and he's had a nice career against the Marlins. 8-2 in his career against the Fish.
One and two. Little tapper. Back to Moylan. And he flips on over to first. So Moylan has come in and worked an uneventful 2 innings so far. And he's only had to throw 13 pitches to get 5 outs. Braves bullpen's pretty good. And they like what they've seen from Billy Wagner so far. That's been a nice addition. Remember the Braves at the end of, all through last year, or at the end of last year, the question was, what were they going to do with Rafael Soriano? What were they going to do with Mike Gonzalez? Billy Wagner arrived. Gonzalez in Baltimore, and Soriano, of course, with the Rays.
Guy they've been using in the 8th inning occasionally, and setting up Wagner. Saito, Takahashi Saito. Left-hander Johnny Venters, youngster. Eric O'Flaherty, another left-hander. Saw him warming up earlier. Or was that Venters?
Ugla into left field. Gant's got a base hit. Ugly hit it hard his 2 previous times up. Remember, he hit the ball that McLeod made the running catch going away from the infield. That was back in the 5th inning. If that ball is hit another foot higher, it's a very different ball game because the Marlins had him loaded with 2 outs, and that catch saved 3 runs.
And keep in mind, McLeod plays a shallow center field. He goes back on the ball very well.
Ross is up. Correa struck out, bounced out. Mets 5, Phillies nada. 9th inning.
Philly bats have gone quiet. So have the Rays bats.
6-2 Boston over Tampa Bay, bottom 8. Ugly and Ross back-to-back hits.
Tampa Bay last night. Boston beat them 2-0. Tampa Bay got just 1 hit in that game. Good stroke by Cody. When he follows his buddy Dan Uggla with a base hit in the left.
Now Paulino had a chance to talk with John Baker today. He has started to swing the bat again. So he's still a ways away from being able to come off the disabled list. But he's hit off a tee, taking some soft toss.
I think in Bake's absence, Brett Hayes has done a nice job. Mixed in some base hits, done a good job behind the plate.
Still, it would be nice to have that left-handed bat. There's a Pinto in the bullpen. Marlins could use that left-handed bat against some of the tough righty starters.
Lefty seems to be the theme tonight.
They call your buddy Carlton up.
As we talked about lefties in the bullpen, you think about the Marlins lineup, a lack of some real pop from a lefty.
Into center field, that's a base hit. Runner coming around third. Ugla will score. The Marlins have one of those runs back. 3 consecutive hits against Moylan.
Well, you always like the fight in a ball club when they're down, but they just keep banging out base hits, and 3 singles in a row, all with 2 out. So Ronnie stays inside that ball, drills it up the middle, and that's going to get the Braves bullpen busy. It's going to get their pitching coach, Roger McDowell, to the mound.
O'Flaherty and Saito.
And it's going to get Wes Helms a plate appearance.
A former Brave. Helms will pinch hit here against Moylan. quickly. Moylan's out front 0-2. Helps' bat came alive on the road trip with 3 hits on Sunday. Had a base hit on Saturday.
You know, Wes Elms, a 10th round draft pick of the Atlanta Braves in '94.
And he goes down swinging. Marlins get a run, but are still 4 short. Been counting down top sluggers of all time. Barry Bonds, number 3.
You knew he'd show up on that list. Like him or not, still the best player that Jim Leyland has said he's ever managed. Of course, those were the early years of Barry Bonds. The lean years of Barry Bonds.
And maybe his standing on that list has knocked a few pegs down because of his involvement with performance-enhancing drugs. Pinto with a breaking ball that misses inside. Jason Hayward, Chipper Jones, and Troy Gloss. Pinto, of course, came into the ball game in the 7th inning last night and hit Hayward, and then got Chipper Jones to line out. Tonight, when the Marlins needed to get a left-handed hitter out, it wasn't Pinto. It was Dan Meyer who was called on. And that was Eric Hinsky in a key moment in the 7th inning. And Meyer walked him on 5 pitches. And the 4 balls that he missed with were not close.
No, he didn't come close. You know, the Phillies got shut out again. They've been shut out 3 of the last 4 games now.
The Phillies?
Yeah.
How about Bronson Arroyo throwing a shutout tonight?
How about a lefty that can't throw strikes to a lefty?
He's trying to divert your attention from that. I know you. Cincinnati shut out Pittsburgh 4-0.
Last night when Pinto got Chipper Jones to end the inning, it was with a changeup that he lined to third for the final out of the inning.
Chipper got that RBI in the 7th on a bases-loaded walk. The Marlins have had their moments in the bullpen. Clay Hensley and Leo Nunez have been the two guys. The problem for Randy St. Clair and for Freddie Gonzalez, you can't, at this point, go get Hensley to pitch the 7th. If you want him available in the majority of 8th innings, you have to limit his pitch count, and you can't pitch him back-to-back nights.
You want to use him in close games or games where you're ahead.
You can pitch him in back-to-back nights, but you can't pitch him an inning one night and then 2 innings the next.
Yeah, if you do, he won't be able to lift his arm by the All-Star break.
You lose him. So the challenge for the Marlins is finding somebody else who's dependable in the bullpen other than Hensley. And that's been a real challenge. Whether it's right-handers or left-handers. And the Marlins have been able to get around that in large part because of their starting pitching. And starters that have been able to give Freddie 7 innings at time and deliver the game into the 8th inning. And so Hensley, and you love to have this as a manager, Hensley has become just as important as Leo Nunez is to that bullpen. And that's great. That's what you want. But along with that comes the responsibility of the rest of the bullpen.
There. Yeah, trying to get there.
The rest of the bullpen has to fill that role. Struck him out. Boy, Chipper Jones looking at a fastball for strike 3. He is now 0 for 9 in this series, and he's not looked good doing it.
That's the frustrating part. We talk about this all the time in Rainiel Pinto. He has good stuff. He's got an above-average changeup, a fastball in the 90s. But in close games, he doesn't have command. When the game's a little out of hand, he has better command.
David Ross getting, or excuse me, Brooks Conrad getting the at-bat here.
Yeah, Ross in that McCann spot on deck.
Ball in a strike.
Looks like the Marlins will see Billy Wagner. Since this game has really gotten to a screeching, boring halt, how about let's go through that list some more?
I thought you'd never ask. Although one guy I want to check in on statistically,
okay,
in New Orleans, is a Taylor Tankersman. That one fouled back. Tankersley is 3-2 with a 4.19 ERA. And has not given up an earned run for a while.
Yeah, he's been a little better lately. Got off to a slow start.
Lefties are hitting 143 against Tankersley. Righties 311. The last earned run that Tank gave up was May 2nd. So there's somebody to keep your eye on. A guy that had major surgery and was trying to rebuild his career. But yeah, I'm all for that list now.
Yeah. Who's number 2?
We left off at number 3, Bonds. Brooks Conrad goes down. You ask, you receive. If I had a hammer. Henry Aaron.
You know, a guy who never hit 50, but it seemed like he hit 40 every year. He didn't hit mammoth 500-foot home runs. He just hit them enough. And what a player. People never realize the type of outfielder and base runner Hank Aaron was as well.
Aaron was one of those guys that I think Mays probably fit this as well. When you got into guys being 40-40 guys and having homers and the speed, players of that generation said if they thought being a 40-40 guy was such a big deal, then they would have stolen 40 bases.
Stolen more bases. They stole bases when they needed. The great stat on Hank Aaron is that if you subtract the 755 home runs that he hit, he still has 3,000 hits.
That is a great stat. 240 stolen bases for Henry Aaron. Drove in almost 2,300 runs, 2,297. So if Aaron is number 2, I'm assuming that the number 1 guy is Babe Ruth.
I would assume so.
So that's one of my questions is, where is Ted Williams? See, that's where I have a problem with a guy like McGuire coming in 9th on that list.
Well, just think if you add 4, almost 5 years that Ted Williams missed to the military, how many more home runs he would have hit? He'd have been in the high 600s, might have reached 700. Now, so far, hasn't that been more enjoyable talking about that?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Because, I mean, Pinto would have killed the Durham Bull with that one, and then Paulino ends up throwing it into center field.
I mean, we're trying to compete with American Idol here.
David Ross is up. I think if you're gonna assemble a list of the top sluggers, you got to use slugging percentage.
That's a good point.
As maybe your top stat.
Then you need to look at Stan Musical's slugging percentage.
You need to look at Albert Pujols. You need to look at Lou Gehrig.
Yeah.
And Ted Williams. All right, we talked you through that inning. We'll wrap it up when we return. Sluggers, Mays, McGuire, A-Rod, Mantle, Frank Robinson, Reggie Jackson, Josh Gibson, Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, and Babe Ruth. And obviously it's a list, as the Bambino would tell you, hey, nothing like a good argument.
Hey, the all-time leader in slugging percentage. You've uncovered a pretty good list as far as slugging percentage that has a couple of names in there that are very interesting.
Yeah, it's the top slugging percentage of all time. Ruth. Ted Williams is second. Lou Gehrig is third. Albert Pujols is fourth.
I like the Jimmy Fox and the Hank Greenberg.
That's right. Fox is fifth. Bonds is sixth. Greenberg seventh. Brooks Conrad at third. Manny Ramirez is eighth on that list. McGuire ninth. Ryan Howard is 10th. Jolton Joe is 11th. Then on down the line you go. There's even a special guest appearance at number 16 by Albert Joey Bell. There's Billy Wagner.
Billy Wagner now with 390 career saves. This is not a save situation for him. Hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities with the Braves. Just 5 saves this year.
I'll bet he faced Albert Bell. Wagner last year battled back from injury and pitched with Boston. Pitched well with Boston. Was 1-1 with a 1.98 ERA.
And in a role that he wasn't accustomed to.
Here's a guy with a career ERA of 2.39. And he blows BC away. Our Toyota trend. Since 08, the Marlins win percentage versus the East, second to the Phillies. But tonight, it's the Braves who are on top 7-3 in a game that the Marlins bullpen could not hold.
You know, and every once in a while, you have to win those 3-2 games, 4-3 games. Nice to have the 13-0 blowouts, but you're not always going to get that. Well, he can still light up that radar gun.
Yes, he can, which for the Braves is good news. They took a little bit of a gamble, 1 year, $7 million contract, an option for 2011. That's nasty. That is nasty. That's vintage Billy Wagner.
But I don't think that option is going to be a concern because Billy Wagner has said that this is going to be his last year.
Our Jaguar performer of the game for the Marlins, a wasted performance by Nate Robertson. 6 innings, did not give up an earned run, just 2 hits. Our Jaguar performer of the game. Robertson was in line to pick up win number 5. Instead, this decision is going to go to the Marlins bullpen. Gabby fouls it back. As a consolation prize, the Marlins get to face Tim Hudson tomorrow night.
Yeah, with an ERA a little over 2.
Ricky Nolasco will go for the fish.
But that's the other part of that story. The Braves get to face Ricky Nolasco.
And Nolasco had that 16 strikeout performance against them in his last start last year. Gabby to right. And the Braves are going to even this series at a game apiece. A bullpen meltdown for the Fish. The Braves with a comeback and a 7-3 win here tonight in South Florida. Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Marooney, in South Florida. When you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-MAROONEY. By Corona, kick back, relax with an ice cold Corona and lime. Enjoy a Corona today. By Dodge Ram Trucks, award-winning Ram trucks. Plus the new heavy duty, make it one of the most powerful lineups in Ram history. By South Florida Ford. Visit southfloridaford.com for great offers. And by AT&T, find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Marlins Live is coming up 7-3. Braves win it.